Dearborn, another edition of Growth Driven. This is going to be a longer edition than most of my podcasts and videos, but I want to go in depth on something that I feel is very important. So here I am at the end of May 2022. A lot of talk about a recession. And I want to talk about how to recession-proof your business. Hey, Edwin Dearborn here, another edition of Growth Driven. So I'm going to take a bit of time in this vlog, this podcast, because I want to go in depth on an article that I wrote, and eventually it's going to be turned into a PDF download that I'm calling a business survival guide, much like an ebook. But I decided to go ahead and publish all this content on a blog post, kind of as a pre-release, if you will. And I will put the link in this video when I'm done recording it. I will put the link in the blog post so that if you watch this after I'm done streaming this, you'll have the link to actually go and read all of it. But I thought, why not also create a video on this where maybe I can go into some details, tell some stories, give some examples, more importantly, on this article. So there's been a lot of talk in the media about the recession. Some say we're already in one. Some say we're about to have one. Some say it's going to be worse. But it doesn't matter whether we're in one or we're going to have one. Recessions occur. It's a fact of life. And if you're not prepared for an emergency, that's when it becomes a dire situation. We know that we should prepare when we go out to sea. We know that we should prepare if we're going to go on a long hike or a long trip. We bring along, forms of communication. We bring a first aid kit. We bring extra food. We bring warm clothing. We bring tools before we go out on the adventure. Well, business is an adventure, and before you go out there into a economic crisis, you should have your tools, you should have your kit, you should be prepared. And most businesses do not do that. They hope for the best and then try to cope when bad things occur. So what happens during a recession? The very first thing that happens is your primitive lizard brain goes into reactive mode. It commands this erroneous knee-jerk reaction to hunker down and wait out the storm. But we know that when people panic and they hunker down, they make bad decisions. Just look at anybody who is in panic mode. Their decisions are very erratic. They're often dumb. They end up sabotaging everything that they're trying to solve. So the way we handle that panic is being prepared. Someone who's going hiking, who knows the landscape, who knows the terrain, knows the potential dangers, and has everything prepared, when they reach that danger, they're not as panicky because they have the tools, the knowledge, and the skills to survive. So what we want to do is, if we're going into business, we've got to realize that the potential danger of a recession is more than just a potential. Historically, they happen about every 7 to 9 years. So, but if you're not prepared, you're going to get sucked into the bad news. Okay, so what do we do? The first thing you want to do is you want to actually take what I'm telling you, plus any other coaching or knowledge or books you're reading, and actually write a written plan. You want to have a written checklist. Take a look at great coaches when they play football or baseball. They have a written plan. They've got the plays written on their sleeve. They don't just go out there and go, okay, I'm just going to throw the ball. They know they've got a written strategy. When you go to battle, you've got written battle plans. When you go hiking, you have maps. You have directions. So this is what you want to do. You want to have some type of written direction, some type of contingency plan. If this happens, what do we do? If that happens, what do we do? If we lose staff, what do we do? If the marketplace inflates, what do we do? If the supply chain breaks down, where do we get supplies? You want to have all that figured out. You need to take the time to actually write out the plan. Now, history teaches us that there are massive opportunities unseemingly during a recession. Recessions are actually unlikely opportunities, we would think, for massive growth. If you look throughout history, I'll give you a couple examples here. In the 1920s, Post cereals was the leader in their market. But when the Great Depression hit, the company reduced its marketing. Meanwhile, its biggest rival, Kellogg's, doubled their advertising expenditure during this Great Depression, and they saw their profits boom by 30%. Still to this day, Kellogg's is bigger than Post cereal. Now, a Harvard graduate and professor of business and marketing, Roland S. Vail, tracked 200 companies during a recession of 1923. He reported that companies who continued to advertise during the crisis were 20% ahead of what they were before the recession. On the other hand, companies that reduced their marketing were still in the recession and were 7% behind before. So those who reduced got smaller. Those who increased during the recession became 20% bigger. Another example. During the recession of 1990-91, McDonald's decided to reduce its marketing spending and promotional budget. Contrarily, Pizza Hut and Taco Bell took advantage of their reduced media presence and focused their efforts on more marketing. As a result, Pizza Hut saw a 61% growth. Taco Bell grew by 40%. McDonald's had their sales decline by 28%. What's the takeaway? Recessions are unlikely opportunities for massive growth. I had a dentist 2 years ago when we had the lockdown because of the virus. All these dental offices were closing down. He goes, what should I do? I said, double down on your promotion. Well, everybody is retracting. He did that. And when the lockdowns were over, he saw his greatest sales. Figure out how you can increase your marketing. So there's 7 things that we want to do during a recession. You want to take massive action, and you want to couple it with intelligent planning. Step number 1, you want to strengthen your existing relationships with clients, partners, and your team. Okay? So let's say you've got 100 clients. That loyal client base is going to be your superpower. You're going to want to increase service, benefits, and value to them. Why? Because you don't want to be shopped out for someone who's going to come in and bid lower, which is what most competitors will do during a recession. Well, we do the same thing as them. We'll do it cheaper. But if you're offering massive value, why would they want to go anywhere? I'm getting so much value. They're helping me so much. Even though there's a lower cost, I would never ever go away. Number 2, that increased service has a second benefit. It inspires referrals. And boy, will you need more referrals during a recession. Referrals spend more money. Referrals stay longer as clients. Like, everything is right about a referral. So take your existing partnerships, your existing clients, and increase the value. Currently, what do you do with your team? Increase your training and your care for your team so that they don't want to go away for someone else or maybe start their own business. So if you just pack in the value and pack in the training for all the people that work with you and all the people that you serve, that value add makes you an indispensable brand that makes them want to come back to you. Number 2, the second thing you want to do is increase your lead flow with prospecting. Now, I understand that during, you know, a recession, you may not have a lot of money for advertising. So when I say prospecting, I'm not talking about advertising. What I'm talking about is a very specific definition, which I'll read to you and will be included in the article that you can go to the link on. And I've done other videos on this topic. Here's my definition of prospecting. Quote, prospecting is the proactive search for potential clients and referrals. It is purely outbound and can be initiated at will. Prospecting is the process of identifying for yourself who your ideal clients are, actively searching for them, and then creating a base of leads. The goal of prospecting is to further communicate with these leads in person and via technology, and to eventually convert them into paying clients. So, who would be your ideal clients? You really need to narrow that down and go, well, anybody, but we know that that's not true. What is the exact persona? What is the exact qualifications, the demographics, the psychographics of your ideal prospect? Now let's really narrow down the search. Let's go look for them. And there's so many different ways that you can prospect. You can send out daily invitations to these targeted audiences on LinkedIn and other social media platforms. You can call everybody you know on your phone and ask them, can you help them? That's prospecting. Or do they know somebody that you can help? You can use your CRM to send emails. Hopefully you have a CRM, and to call your leads. You can post more frequently on social media with helpful and inspiring content that would have people coming to you. You can go to local business events, business meetups, etc. Become an effective networker. Volunteer in your community. Be involved in groups. That's a great way to prospect. Go door to door in business complexes. You know, these areas where there's loaded with all these businesses. Go around, introduce yourself, hand out business cards. It works. You can co-create content, video content, blog content with business leaders and online influencers. They can introduce you to their audience. That's prospecting. You can join and participate in masterminds. These are held online, they're held in person. Be active in local chamber of commerce, business networking groups. You can send out cold emails and introduce yourself to local businesses or to top prospects. And you can also optimize your website for local search. So when people type in keywords, you're found because you've done the right SEO. That's a great way to prospect. But prospecting, when it becomes your superpower, something happens. The more people you contact, the more people you contract. The number of contacts equals the number of contracts. So you don't have your sales lineup, your sales funnel filled up, you go into prospecting. I've talked to many people that have been successful in sales. What do? They prospect. Talk to multimillionaires who hustled in the early days. What do? They went out and they talked to everybody. They prospected. Prospecting is something you can do at will, and it doesn't have to be expensive. Point number 3, encourage and empower people with your communication. When people are going through tough times, nothing wins like positivity. People are going to be attracted to brands and companies and salespeople who are super positive. And I don't mean in some weird way. I'm talking about genuine communication that is empowering and full of empathy and positivity. When you do that, you win. People are attracted to positive people during difficult times. So make sure that your email, your website, your social media is full of positivity. Things that, positive quotes, positive to do FAQs, all of that should be, your communication should be one of positivity. Point number 4, you got to focus on what drives growth. And the only way to do that is to know your numbers. I highly recommend a book called The 4 Disciplines of Execution. That really gives, how to know your numbers, how to drive your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, you can't drive your numbers. And if you don't drive your numbers, you can't grow your numbers. So brands who know, understand, and leverage their data, their numbers, are more effective. So during a recession, you really got to know, okay, whatever is creating success, we got to know exactly what's causing that. We got to be able to double down, triple down on whatever is causing success. We got to know also, on the other hand, what is not causing us success? Where is there waste? We got to cut the waste. You got to economize while also maximizing what is working. 5, look, you can create video content. Video content is the best content there is. Something like 78% of Americans watch video content every single week. 55% of people watch video content daily. You've got TikTok, you've got Instagram, Facebook Live, YouTube. This is where the audiences are. During lockdown, this is where you really should have been, is creating all types of content. And there's all types of content you can create. How-to content, answers to frequently asked questions, case studies. You could be sharing success stories. You could do reports on industry trends. You could interview other business leaders and online influencers. You can show product demonstrations, behind the scenes of what occurs at your brand, before and after examples of people who've worked with you. Talk about local events and share your top 10 lists, top 10 ways to do this, top 10 ways to do that. Come up with creative content. Fill that content with value that keeps you top of mind. Remember, you're going to have a lot of competitors shrinking back, being worried, saying nothing. Now's the time to put out lots of video content with that positivity and empathy that I talked about earlier. Video content is a brand builder because it provides credibility and transparency. And when you provide credibility and transparency, you increase trust. And when you increase trust, you increase the amount of people that want to do business with you. Point number 6, use a CRM, a customer relationship management tool. This is technology that you can be using, and so many people do not effectively use a CRM. It just blows my mind. You could be sending out automated messages, your videos, your positivity that we were talking about, through texting, through email. You can automate this. You can see who's engaging with your content. You can follow up with your leads. You know, those people go, give me a call in 3 months. Did you put them in your CRM? Are you using the CRM to remind you to follow up? There's an old saying, the fortune is in the follow-up. And there's another saying, the money's in the list. But if you don't have a list, you haven't compiled your list, and you're not following up with it, you're going to lose a ton of money and you're going to lose business to your competitors. So use a CRM to build your list and to put in the disciplines of follow-up. And point number 7, you got to scale. You're going to have to grow. But I know scaling is difficult when you're tight during a recession. But there's an affordable way to do that, and that's through virtual assistants. I work with a number of virtual assistants who actually help me with my marketing efforts. They help me do my social media. They help me with my postings. They create content for me, and I get them for way less money than if I was to hire someone here. And VAs can do a ton of things. If you look in the article, there's a link there on a booklet that my friend Barry Kozier put out on, there's over 200 different things that a VA could do for you. I mean, for me, post on social media. They can call and schedule your leads and do call forwarding. They can do SEO on your website. They can design your branded content. They can schedule you on podcasts. They can edit your videos, automate your social media posts, reach out to other podcasters, and network with them. They can build websites, build landing pages. They can run paid ads on Google and social media. I mean, there's so many things that we could do with a VA. And so that allows you to scale your reach, to scale your effectiveness, to scale your impact when everybody's shrinking for pennies on the dollar. So You want to scale, but you want to do it affordably. VAs are a great way to do that. Okay. And then this is the last one. You got to get people on your team. They're going to drive the growth. And as a virtual or fractional chief marketing officer, CMO, I come on as teams and I put these plans together and I drive these for execution. See, it's one thing to develop a plan, but if it's not being led by somebody that's got intentionality, who has a little bit of force, the good kind, may the force be with you, that kind of force, to actually make that stuff happen, all these earlier actions. And that's what a good chief marketing officer does. They take these intelligent plans and they drive them to get accomplished. They bring accountability. And when you have accountability with an intelligent plan that's being forced in through actions and accomplishments, guess what happens? The growth occurs. So bring on a virtual or fractional CMO like myself. Why is a virtual or fractional CMO beneficial? You don't have to hire one at $200,000 a year. You go out and want to hire a really, really good CMO, you're going to pay a lot of money. And during a recession, it's better to have a fractional or virtual CMO who, for 20, 30% of the cost, can do what you need to have done. So if you're a bigger brand and you really see that there's an opportunity there to grow during a recession, I'm telling you, bring it on, chief marketing officer. I'm chief marketing officer for 3 brands right now that I'm a partner in, and every one of them is growing massively. And I can show you the success stories. I can maybe talk to the people if you doubt what I'm saying. But this right here is your strategy. Now, go to the link below, read the article, develop your own plan. These are the fundamentals. You may think of some other things. Go ahead. You know your business probably better than I do. Not probably, you do. So, think with what I'm giving you, add to it, customize it, make it yours, but have a plan in place. Otherwise, you're planning to fail. This has been Edwin Dearborn, another edition of Growth Driven. Thank you for staying with me for this long, and make it a great day. Bye-bye.